1 million fish inside a building with no ocean, no rivers, no coastline, no natural water source. And yet, right now, in the middle of an industrial zone in Norway, thousands of tons of salmon are being grown completely on land. Not in the ocean. Not in a lake. Not even near water. Inside a warehouse. This is not a concept. It's not a prototype. It's already happening. And if this works at scale, it could completely transform how the world produces seafood. Because the truth is, the ocean is starting to fail us. For decades, Norway has been the undisputed leader in salmon farming. The country produces over 1.4 million tons of Atlantic salmon every single year, accounting for more than 50% of the global farmed salmon supply. The industry generates over $15 billion annually and supports more than 75,000 jobs. By any measure, this is one of the most successful agricultural systems in modern history. But beneath this success lies a growing crisis. Traditional salmon farming relies on open-net pen systems, massive floating cages anchored in Norway's fjords and coastal waters. These cages allow ocean water to flow freely through them, making the system cheap, scalable, and efficient. But this same openness is also its biggest weakness. Sea lice, tiny parasitic crustaceans, attach themselves to salmon and feed on their skin and blood. In the crowded environment of fish farms, they spread rapidly from fish to fish and from farm to farm through ocean currents. Over time, these parasites have become resistant to chemical treatments, making them harder and more expensive to control. In recent years, sea lice infestations have cost the Norwegian salmon industry over $1 billion annually in treatments, lost fish, and regulatory fines. Then there is the problem of escape. Farmed salmon frequently break free from their enclosures due to storms, equipment failure, or human error. In some years, over 200,000 fish have escaped into the wild. These farmed fish interbreed with wild Atlantic salmon, weakening their genetic diversity and reducing their ability to survive in natural environments. Over the last 30 years, wild Atlantic salmon populations have declined by more than 70%. And fish farming is one of the contributing factors. Below the surface, another issue continues to grow silently. Waste. A single salmon farm housing 200,000 fish produces as much organic waste as a city of 65,000 people. This waste sinks directly to the ocean floor, creating oxygen-depleted zones where marine life cannot survive. The environmental cost of cheap salmon is becoming impossible to ignore. And that's why Norway's salmon industry began searching for an entirely new solution. Not by fixing the ocean, but by removing it entirely. This is where Recirculating Aquaculture Systems, or RAS, come in. RAS is one of the most advanced forms of modern agriculture ever developed. Inside these facilities, salmon are raised in massive circular tanks, typically 10 to 15 meters in diameter and several meters deep. But unlike traditional systems, the water here is not constantly replaced. Instead, it is continuously cleaned, filtered, and reused. The process is highly engineered. Water-carrying fish waste is first passed through mechanical drum filters that remove solid particles. It then moves into a biofilter, where colonies of beneficial bacteria convert toxic ammonia into safer nitrogen compounds. After that, the water flows through a degassing unit that removes excess carbon dioxide, followed by oxygen injection systems that restore dissolved oxygen levels. Finally, the water is exposed to ultraviolet light, which kills harmful pathogens before the water is returned to the tanks. The entire cycle takes less than an hour. And more than 99% of the water is reused. This means dramatically lower water consumption, zero direct ocean pollution, and complete isolation from external parasites like sea lice. It is a closed, controlled ecosystem. Everything is monitored. Temperature, oxygen levels, pH balance, water flow. Nothing is left to chance. Backhand index pointing right if you enjoy deep dive farming documentaries like this. Subscribe to AgriWorld Docs. We break down the world's most advanced agricultural systems every week. Now, let's go deeper into how these facilities actually operate at scale. Inside one of Norway's most advanced facilities, such as salmon evolution, the scale is staggering. The site covers tens of thousands of square meters and is built entirely on land, far from any fjord or coastline. Inside, millions of liters of water circulate through dozens of tanks, each holding thousands of fish. The process begins with eggs sourced from specialized breeding companies. The salmon hatch in freshwater tanks, just like in the wild. As they grow, the water conditions are gradually adjusted to replicate their natural life cycle, transitioning from freshwater to saltwater through a process known as smoltification. Once they reach around 100 grams in weight, they are transferred into larger saltwater tanks where they will spend the next 14 to 18 months growing to harvest size. Feeding is fully automated. Advanced sensor systems monitor fish behavior in real time, tracking movement, oxygen consumption, and feeding patterns. When fish are actively feeding, automated systems release precise amounts of feed. When activity drops, feeding stops immediately. This level of precision reduces waste and improves efficiency. The result is a feed conversion ratio of approximately 1.1 to 1, compared to 1.3 to 1.5 in traditional ocean farming. At scale, this difference represents massive savings in both cost and environmental impact. From a technological standpoint, RAS systems are incredibly efficient. But there is one major challenge: cost. Building a land-based salmon farm capable of producing 10,000 tons per year can cost between $200 to $250 million. In comparison, a traditional ocean-based farm producing the same output might cost as little as $15 to $20 million. The difference is enormous. Operating costs are also significantly higher. Electricity alone can account for 30 to 40% of total production costs, as pumps, filtration systems, oxygen generators, and monitoring equipment must run continuously. This is why location matters. Norway has a unique advantage due to its abundant hydroelectric power, which provides relatively cheap and stable energy. Many land-based farms are strategically built near these energy sources to reduce operating costs. Even then, success is not guaranteed. Several high-profile projects have struggled. Atlantic Sapphire, one of the most ambitious land-based salmon farming ventures in the world, faced technical failures, fish die-offs, and major financial losses that nearly pushed the company into bankruptcy. These challenges highlight just how difficult it is to scale this technology. But despite the risks, investment continues to pour into the industry. Because the global situation is changing. The demand for salmon is growing rapidly, driven by increasing awareness of its health benefits and rising global incomes. At the same time, the ocean's capacity to supply fish is declining due to overfishing, climate change, and environmental degradation. By 2050, global fish demand is expected to increase significantly, while ocean-based supply may decrease. This creates a critical gap. And land-based farming may be the only scalable solution to fill it. Unlike ocean farming, which is limited by coastal geography, RAS facilities can be built almost anywhere. In cities, in deserts, in landlocked countries. Companies have already begun proving this concept. Proximar Seafood, for example, has built a land-based salmon farm near Mount Fuji in Japan, thousands of kilometers away from the natural habitat of Atlantic salmon. The facility supplies fresh fish directly to the Tokyo market within hours of harvest. This level of proximity was previously impossible. It reduces transportation costs, lowers carbon emissions, and delivers fresher products to consumers. Looking ahead, the future of land-based salmon farming is approaching a critical turning point. Technological improvements are reducing construction and operating costs. Renewable energy is becoming more accessible. And new genetic programs are producing salmon strains specifically adapted for controlled environments. Experts compare the current state of the industry to solar energy in the early 2010s. Expensive, but proven. And on the edge of rapid growth. Industry analysts predict that by 2035, land-based salmon farming could become cost-competitive with traditional methods. When that happens, adoption could accelerate dramatically. Because once the economics align, the environmental advantages become impossible to ignore. 50 years ago, the idea of farming salmon in the ocean seemed radical. Today, it is a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Now, a new transformation is beginning. Farming fish without the ocean. It may seem unconventional, but the technology works. The need is urgent. And the momentum is building. The future of seafood is no longer tied to the sea. It is being built on land. One facility at a time. Land-based salmon farming is not the future of fish farming. It's already the present, and it's growing faster than almost anyone predicted. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to AgriWorld Docs for a new deep dive every single week. And here's a question for you: would you choose land-farmed salmon over ocean-farmed if you knew it was cleaner, safer, and fresher? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.